Prepare for arrival. Mr. Savage, we're 1 minute out.
We then began a program of remedying those abuses and inequalities.
Have to sing our great country. Freedom, security, and greater opportunity. I'm not sure we've absorbed the full impact.
Let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic process.
Government is not the solution to our problem. We gather tonight at a dramatic and deeply promising time in our history. The world has known changes of almost biblical proportions.
Must be not only the envy of the world, but the engine of our own. There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right. Today we pledge an end to the era of deadlock and drift, and a new season of American renewal has begun.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Social Hand Grenade, the podcast where common sense gets a standing ovation and woke nonsense gets escorted out by security. I'm your host, Tony Savage, and tonight, we're kicking off episode 1 with the culture glitch so big it might crash the entire left-wing operating system. Our guest, conservative lesbian named Crystal. Yeah, you heard that right. Somewhere in Portland, a barista just fainted into their oat milk latte. Crystal is the kind of woman who shows up to Pride wearing flannel, a Trump hat, and a pocket constitution, and somehow still leaves with everyone's girlfriend. It's incredible. But here's the twist that really detonates the activist hive mind. Not only is she politically incorrect and fabulous, she also does philanthropy for veterans. You know how confusing that is to the left? A lesbian helping veterans while voting red? It's like watching a unicorn bench press the American flag. It shouldn't happen, and yet it does. And it's glorious. Crystal spends her time giving back to the men and women who actually know what courage looks like, which already puts her miles ahead of the hashtag warriors screaming on Twitter from their futons. She breaks every stereotype they're trying to sell. They want lesbians who protest the military. She's out here supporting it. They want activists who cry about oppression. She's out here fixing problems. They want blind loyalty. She's out here reading policy like it's a dating profile. Tonight, we're talking about what it's like to live in the rainbow alphabet and still refuse to bend a knee to the groupthink gods. Because the left loves diversity until you disagree with them. Then suddenly you're the final boss in their victimhood video game. So buckle up, folks. Episode 1 is officially exploded into action, with a woman who can out-debate liberals, out-smoke hipsters, out-donate activists, and probably out-grill half the dads in America. Crystal, welcome to the Social Hand Grenade, where logic is lethal, laughter is ammo, and tonight the fuse is officially lit. All right, you ready to get started?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm glad you came. I can't wait to get into this. So, first question is, be honest here, which closet was harder to escape, the rainbow bedazzled one or the one with the Reagan posters?
The Reagan posters.
Yeah. So is the conformity that tough? Like when you come out and you say I'm conservative, are you getting shamed by everybody that's in the LGBT community?
I'm not part of that community.
Not part of that community. Okay.
I'm just old school gay. I mean, my whole thing is the thing for me, it's like this. You're the company you keep.
Got it. Absolutely.
And I keep the company around me that's not going to shame me for what I believe.
Okay. No, I totally get that. Yeah, why would you?
You're the company you keep. I was taught that from an early age. I grew up in the Bible Belt of East Texas with a Nazarene pastor grandfather.
Yeah. Well, that really...
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, that'll shape it for sure. So basically, you just don't buy into all these stereotypes. None of that nonsense. So what about? Have you heard? Have you heard of the? These NGOs, the LGBT nonprofits that they push for rights activists. To help with the LGBT community.
They're pushing for that Soros money.
Sure, of course. There's money involved.
Money.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with you at all.
They're pushing for anything but money because old school people like me are sitting on their couch watching Fox News, watching the bullshit. That's all.
Absolutely, it's a game. There's a lot of gameplay to it for sure. I don't disagree. I feel like the old school gay story was truly an overcoming story. You know what I mean? And I always thought, like, when I remember as a kid seeing the push for gay marriages, right? You had a lot of these old cats, and I'm talking about like my grandpa's age, saying, "Oh, this is Pandora's box. You don't know what's gonna happen next." And I'm like, dude, you're old. You're just you're not hip with the times. Because as a kid, I mean, hell, I voted for Obama when I was 18, 19, or whatever it was. I was young, and I think most people start off more liberal. Until they start making money and realizing government sucks.
Well, I voted Obama first term.
Right, the hope. He got me on the hope.
I voted for the hope. I voted first term Obama. I did not vote second term Obama. And mind you,
I did not either.
I was married to a black woman.
Really?
At the time.
Get out. Okay.
And
was that a tough conversation that I'm not voting for him the second round?
No, nobody I knew that was black voted for him round 2.
Oh, so everyone was turned off by the second round, huh?
I mean,
he still won.
Yeah.
Somehow.
White people.
Yeah.
The same people that you're talking about out there with those LGBTQ foundations, and the same people with they're a bunch of old white women liberals.
I believe it.
Those are the ones.
And most of the people that are pushing that stuff, they're not even gay. They're allies.
They're not even allies. They're just people that are looking for attention.
The virtue signalers of the world.
I mean, come on. They're the same ones that are telling black people they're oppressed.
Right, constantly. It's bizarre how they get away with some. They constantly explain to everyone else what their plight is.
Yeah, tell me I'm oppressed, not tell me to do better.
Right. Yeah. Outrageous. So yeah, the new trending thing is a lot of these groups are basically divorcing the T and the Q. Mm-hmm. It's just LGBT now.
Well, here's my question. And I know it's a dumb question, but it started out with LGB.
Right.
Right? So if L is lesbian, gay is men, bi is I like both, why do we have 700 genders?
Well,
because don't they in the first 3 letters tell us that there's the science?
Right. No, absolutely. The L and the G are definitely gender specific.
Yeah.
And B meaning
both
two.
genders.
Yeah. Bi. Yeah.
Now we're gonna keep on going with the LMNOP part.
Yeah, it keeps they keep adding the letters too. It's definitely gotten a little too heavy for most people.
A little out of hand.
a little out of hand. Yeah, they're just commandeering the alphabet, kind of like the Germans did in World War II. They've slowly occupied all territories.
They're trying.
They're trying.
Well, what bothers me the most about it is I grew up in a time where it wasn't okay to be gay.
No,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
That's what I was talking about, the overcome story. There truly was a time when gay people were oppressed.
I knew Ryan White, the kid that got chained to the fence and beaten to death. I knew him.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And that was in my up and coming. I was a teenager at the time. It was. What bothers me the most is we were the pioneers for everything that they have, and they still want more. And it's like, come on, guys. You have no idea what we had to go through for you to get right here to put rainbow stickers on the back of your car and walk into Walmart with pajama bottoms and flip-flops on.
No, absolutely.
If you're going to represent, it's kind of like you as a veteran. When you represent who you are, you represent it correct. when you represent where you came from, you represent it correctly. And I try to do the same thing. I try to represent me as a human being, as a person who works hard to provide for my family, and just keep on keeping on and treat everybody like decent human beings.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't understand this new age.
I think it became trendy. It's like bubblegum. You know what I mean? It's just it's not real anymore. It's it's the hot topic.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because 10 years ago, Angelina Jolie had a kid who Cher and Angelina both kind of were the forerunners for that in Hollywood. I feel like in the last 5 years, 2 out of 3 Hollywood kids are trans.
Right.
Like we're trying to create a new trend.
No, it definitely seems that way. That's where you get into is this what they're doing in the schools? Are they trying to be all inclusive?
No.
Or are they social engineering?
Social engineering.
Yeah.
That's all school is. Look at Candace Owens telling people, pull your kids out of school. That's the only way to do it, is homeschool. If you want your kids to learn your values and everything like that, you teach them at home. I mean, they're not learning writing, math, and arithmetic. Our son was in school a couple years ago, predominantly white school, but in the school that he was in, even the minorities were of wealth. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So you've got a kid in a $750,000 home wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt, and the white English teacher is telling every other student in the room to check their white privilege at the door.
Right, and he's oppressed.
And he's oppressed. The kid in a $750,000 home.
Right, and he drives a Mercedes high school.
Proud.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I grew up extremely poor, and it's wild to me every time I hear white privilege. I think there's wealth and privilege, but there is no color in privilege. That's nonsense. I know the Marxist leftists, they love to identify an oppressor, and they usually do that by color. Yeah. It's just how they've always done it. Yeah, it's very easy.
Because then they create separation amongst society, and separation is where they win.
Well, and it's like when you get to the bolts, nuts and bolts of this, it's like you realize the average American is reading below a 5th grade level. You can't really spin a story too complex for them. They're not going to follow.
And math.
Right.
There's new math.
Right.
We love that.
Right. You have to make it pretty simple. And what's the most simplistic way to pitch this to the masses? Oh, well, we'll identify a color that's bad, and then that's what we're going to go with.
Like saying black people can't get IDs.
That to me is ridiculous. Like, and it's racist. Like, if
every person I know that is of color is offended by that.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you be? You have some rich liberal white woman saying, "Oh, they're incapable of getting an ID."
And my godson,
that's ridiculous.
My godson just got out of basics. He's at his first stop up in Kansas right now, and
awesome.
He's black as black can be. And one day he and I were talking, and I was like, "How'd you get an ID to go in the military?"
Oh,
he just started cracking up. He calls me his white mama.
That's crazy. But
it bothers me.
But there's so many of those, and it's like layered stereotypes that I think that is the actual new oppression, and it's created by the left. Mm-hmm. Is we're going to make a system where there's all these things you can't do, or at least we're going to teach you from a very young age you're incapable of doing. And it's like, that's nonsense. These people are literally going out of their way to create mental roadblocks for people. And I think that's a lot of what is a real problem, because it takes away from your belief in the system, for one. Right? You automatically are like, well, this system is rigged against me. I've been told this my whole life. And if you're constantly told anything for long enough, you'll believe it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially as a young, impressionable person.
It's just, we like, I think there are like 17 signs of an abusive relationship. And between us and the government, we hit like 15 of those 17 signs.
That's hilarious. I never looked at any signs of abusive relationship, but that's funny that I would not doubt that at all. That
we really nailed like 15 of the 17.
Yeah, right. We're right on it. That's crazy. Yeah, the government is definitely, in most cases, in nearly every case I've seen, you let the government get involved, the price goes way up, and they almost never accomplish anything. And most of the time it's because that's not the desired goal. The desired goal is to keep this going because there's money involved.
Yeah.
So
it's a Ponzi scheme.
Exactly. So as far as the whole LGBT thing goes, you opted out a long time ago, or never opted in?
I never really opted in per se. You know, I have a problem with Pride having the month of June and veterans have a single day. I have a problem with that. Like, why straight people don't get a month?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I wouldn't encourage that either. You know what I mean?
For me, it's just like, I just want to be left alone.
Right.
I just want to live my life, love who I love, and have good friends beside me.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. I think that, don't get me wrong, like I said, when we first started talking, the pride kind of, that overcoming story, because there's true oppression, just like you brought up the kid that was murdered. You know, there's stories like that across America where there was real oppression. It wasn't acceptable to be openly gay. No. You could not, get married, and people were totally against that.
You know, and when I was 18 years old when I left Texas. I could not be who I was until I went to college, basically.
What time could you like mark a year when you 90s, say?
Oh, when I knew.
When it was like okay to be you, where you knew that I wasn't going to face, ridicule in public.
There's still days where that's not okay.
Really? So you still encounter...
It's not about an encounter. It's about I respect the people around me. And I look at these kids today that are, whether they're straight or gay or whatever, we grew up in a time where your parents... Did you ever even see your parents hold hands?
No, not too often.
Okay, so...
PDA wasn't really a big thing.
I'm just not big on it. You know what I mean? I'm one of those people that what you do at home, you do at home.
No, I totally understand that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, give you an example. If you and your wife were out and about, say, in the mid-'90s, you could literally face somebody outwardly harassing you, and it would be publicly acceptable. No one's going to stop this person from harassing you. Where nowadays, I imagine that even if you encountered that, someone's going to tell this idiot, shut up and sit down.
I feel like I'm in a position today to say shut up and sit down to that person.
Sure.
Where in the 90s, I wasn't in that position. You are absolutely correct. I know I lived in California in the 2000s, and my first marriage was done in San Francisco when Gavin Newsom became the mayor of San Francisco, back when he actually had a heart.
I don't believe he ever had a heart, but...
He was brand new into it. And when he was the mayor, I'll tell you, he was a first-term Obama.
Okay. I could see
what
you're talking.
That I can explain that. He was a first-term Obama, and I believed that he believed. And that's where I got married, and there it was fine. But then we took a trip to Jamaica.
Okay.
And my wife at the time, black woman in Jamaica, said, "We are in somebody else's country. We have to respect it." And I was like, "Explain to me what that means." And she said, "It's not okay over here." I said, "Okay, then today we're visitors in their country." Funny how that works. When you're visitors in somebody else's country and you abide by their laws and their traditions. Huh.
Right. Yeah.
Huh. Wouldn't it be great?
That seems like
if
common
everybody
sense
could-
to me, but yeah, it doesn't happen too often, right? Not here, at least.
So for me, it was early 2000s. Things started to change across the United States, but not here. I was 18 when I left Texas, and I was 31 before I stepped foot back in the state.
Okay.
And it took me that long to be okay with who I was to come home, but I came home alone.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
You gotta give me a little bit more detail.
I grew up in a very, very conservative family.
Oh, so they were not accepting. You were accepting of yourself.
I was accepting of me, but
they were not.
But my grandfather sat me down in his living room that day, and he said, "I may not agree with your lifestyle, but I've lost you for this many years, and we can both agree that I love you. Welcome home."
Okay. That
And
was
for
awesome
me-
of him.
For me, at that point, when my grandfather, the man who was my hero, said that, give a shit what anybody else says.
Right. Yeah.
At that
Burn
point,
every
that
bridge.
is when
We got
I was 31 when I realized I'm okay
right.
because of his words.
That's
it meant
awesome.
that much to me.
Yeah. So was it? So other family members, it was still a struggle even after.
Didn't care about any of them.
Didn't care.
He was the only one.
Yeah, he was the one you wanted.
He was the one.
Got it. Okay.
And for me, it's like you hear about people. All my life, I wanted that person's. All I wanted was that person's okay. All I wanted was that person's good job. All I wanted was that he was that for me.
That's
and so
awesome.
when he said, "I love you, no matter what. Welcome home," I was like, I have nothing to prove to anybody because the only person that I wanted to prove myself to was this gentleman right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So after that, I really don't care what anybody thinks.
Well, you rock. You rock. So, you traveled around. What brought you back to Texas?
Lack of planning. No, I'm just kidding. I went through a divorce. I was
Okay.
a horrible alcoholic. I went through a divorce, and all roads lead to home. And here I am. I walked past all the demons. I got sober, and doing okay today. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
So it was. Everybody says, all roads lead back to Texas. They really, really do. You miss it when you're gone. I
sure did.
I spent the first 18 years of my life trying to get out, and the rest of my life trying to get back.
Yeah.
You know?
That's funny. Yeah, I got stationed at Fort Hood that was my first duty station. And, I left when I got out of the military, went to California because that's where I'm from, and wasn't there for too long. I think 5 years before I came back and been here ever since. And it's just like you said, you miss it when you're gone.
Yeah, you do.
It's just, it's different.
When I was in New York one time, I was talking to this bouncer at this club. I was just walking down the street, and he just started talking to me. And he asked me, he said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Texas." And he said, "Honey, please do not let New York steal your smile."
Yeah.
And no matter where I've been in life, it's not people, places, and things. It's all inside of you. No matter where I've been in life, I remember that guy. Don't let this place steal your smile. Don't let them steal your joy.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely places. I mean, I lived in multiple places in California. I've lived in Georgia, in the Carolinas, even lived in Kentucky, lived in Iraq for a little while. I would say that out of everywhere I've been, there's no place that really feels like home other than Central Texas. And I would say even other parts of Texas, I don't feel the same as Central Texas. And I don't know what it is about a red state near a blue city, but I seem to be attracted to that. Because the same thing with Iowa. I got a second home in Iowa, in Des Moines, Iowa. It's the only, blue city in Iowa, and that's where I got a house. It's just like the blend. But
I've got some customers up there. Let me tell you, people are going to people. And when we were growing up, politics and religion were the two things that stayed at home.
No doubt.
And, I didn't know how
it's the forefront of everything now.
But there came a point in society that we forgot to care about our neighbor. Like when I was growing up, we got the newspaper at the end of the driveway. We had 2 channels on TV. If the president was on, your night was shot. Friday night, everybody sat in front of the TV. There was no such thing as reruns and cable. And so we knew everything about the people around us, and we cared about them.
Right.
We cared about our neighbor.
Well, our neighbor was in part our entertainment. That's now blocked into either social media or the news or whatever it is that you're plugging into.
Yeah.
When you didn't have that, like you said, they're doing the State of the Union address. It's like there's nothing on TV but this old guy. Go
outside and play.
I'm gonna go outside and play. Yeah, exactly. I tell my son all the time. He's like freaks out when the Wi-Fi goes out, and it's like there's an outside.
Yeah.
You can go out there. That's where freedom is. I was like, you keep getting tasked with a bunch of chores. When I got up in the morning, I left the house because I knew if I stayed around here, I was going to get tasked out to do something too. Freedom was outside. Go outside and disappear until the sun came down.
Pick one of the other, in or out. In, you got to work.
Yeah, in, you got to work.
Play.
And out, yeah, you're doing whatever it is you're going to do. That's exactly right. They don't live like that at all anymore.
No.
It's sad. But let me get to. I think we got like through 50 of our questions here, to be perfectly honest with you. Here's a good one. If virtue signaling was an Olympic sport, who would win the gold medal?
White liberal women.
I don't disagree with that. I do believe that.
Karen.
Yeah. The Karens of the world would definitely get the gold medal there. Okay, here's a good one. Yeah, I know you said you don't do pride parades, but if we were going to do a pride parade and we were going to have a conservative float, what would that look like?
It all depends on how mad you want to make them.
Yeah, a big orange face on the front of that float. Yeah, probably wouldn't make it through the entire parade.
I don't know that we would live through that one. That's one of those choose your battle things.
Yeah.
I'd have Trump up there, the big Trump face saying China.
Oh yeah. They would glitch out for sure.
Throwing American flags at people.
So when it comes to politics and friends, do you ever talk politics with friends, or you do try and avoid that?
Depends on the friend.
I get what you're saying. Okay.
So I owned a business. I owned a business that was a retail business, and I had both sides of the spectrum walk in the door. And one thing I learned a long time ago was no matter how you voted, all money's green.
No doubt.
And so I've got friends to this very moment that I have no idea how they voted, because I don't care, because they're good people, and I'm sure however they voted their issues, and they can stand behind that. My problem is the people who are not voting for something but voting against something when they haven't done their homework. They have no idea what their issues are. If you don't know what your issues are, don't talk to me.
Got it.
Because my thing is I don't. It's like I had somebody ask me one day. They were like, and I knew the person standing beside me was conservative, and the person that asked me the question was very liberal. And they said, "I am so upset about this election. How do you feel about it?" So my answer, I pulled it right out my ass, was, I wake up every morning and find my grateful. Today was no different, my friend.
Yeah, no.
So for me, talking about politics to people on the other side of it, I have some friends that are on the other side of it, and we can talk about it. We can talk about it without fighting, without arguing. We can laugh at each other. We can send stupid memes to each other about it. But what I've found is the people that are willing to talk about it are not far left or far right. The people that are willing to talk about it are the people who have lived the way we've lived. The people who have grown up where it was all internal over here, but we do our research. We know what, like, you voted Obama first term. You voted for hope.
Right.
You know, I'm willing to look at more than just what words come out of your mouth. As a politician, I want to know how you voted in the last 8 votes.
Right.
Public record. I want to know if you actually showed up to vote, or if you just said, that one ain't my problem.
Yeah, if it's all insider trading, or if you actually care about what you're doing.
Exactly. So for me, it's like, if you look at the left and the right and the people that are sitting up there, we need term limits so bad. We need them so horribly, because their only goal is to get richer.
Well, and some
when
of
you
these
shut down the government and still get paid, and then talk about some people are going to have to hurt. Fuck out of here.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
So,
it
and I don't
pisses
care
you
what
off.
side you're on. That's dumb.
Absolutely. If you're saying you're going to shut down my paycheck, it should be paychecks across the board are getting shut down. We shouldn't have exceptions just for Congress. I think it's outrageous that they get away with stuff like that, but that's an internal vote.
Well, I mean,
so they're voting.
If you'd had a VA appointment during that time, you'd still be waiting.
Right.
But if they had a health issue during that time, they'd already be fixed.
Yeah.
There's a
good to go.
problem with that. My thing goes back to my veterans and my guys and how they're treated. You went to war to fight for everything. Like, I'll never forget when people were burning the flags and doing the whole kneel thing and everything. I was upset. And I went to one of my guys and I said, and I knew he was going to be on my side, you know? And I was like, how do you feel about this bullshit? I know how many deployments you've had. And he said, I don't have a problem with it. I said, what do you mean? He said, every time they burn a flag in the street and don't get their head chopped off in the same street, I know that I did my job.
Yeah.
I've been to countries where none of that is okay. So my veterans are the ones that are like, that's their right.
Well, I truly believe in that too, and I also believe in free speech to an extent that most people probably don't believe in free speech.
Yeah, but there's not freedom from consequence.
Well, I mean, in what regard?
I believe that if we're going to have free speech that is complete free speech without freedom of consequence, then the redheaded lady holding the severed Trump head should have been just as reprimanded as somebody that says something negative about Biden.
No, I totally agree.
You know what I mean? When it comes
Absolutely.
to politics. But okay, so when Charlie Kirk died,
Okay.
and you've got teachers that are indoctrinating our children that are out there saying they were glad he got killed. That
Well,
I have a problem. And then they got mad because they lost their job.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, and I think that when I say free speech, I'm talking about the government can't step in and do anything, right? It doesn't mean, like, if I'm a business owner, it doesn't mean that people have to still use my business even if they don't like what I said. Those people have the choice.
Exactly.
Same thing in regards to if half of your parents decide they don't want their kids to go to school, if you're still employed there and you now become a liability for that school district, I mean, you kind of punched your own ticket in that regard. That's not an infringement on freedom of speech. She was still able to say whatever she said, or he was still able to say whatever he said. Now, I agree with the consequences in that regard, that
But like,
can you
okay,
get fired? Can you lose business if you're a business owner? Absolutely.
But
that's
they
real.
said what they said and everything. But let me go back to who I am as a lesbian person. The bakery
Okay.
that didn't want to do the gay cake.
Right.
Go to the next fucking bakery.
No, I think
Because that's their business. That's their right to choose who they want to make a cake for. It's like, why am I going to push them to do something they don't want to do? They going to spit in my cake now? You know what I mean?
And I think that most bakeries, right? If you're just purely business, I understand it was a religious thing, but if you're just purely business,
They're going to do it.
they're going to do the cake.
So what was the problem?
I think I personally think in that particular situation they shop bakeries. They had to find someone who's just completely devout that they're not going.
They
to
wanted
eat.
money.
Yeah, because
all
then they
about
could
a
turn
lawsuit.
around and sue and use the media to kind of pump it up and basically win that lawsuit before it even got in court.
And that's where I have a problem with every community that does that. I have a huge problem with that. The LMNOP community has a big problem with it, and there are some other people that do the same thing. They go out looking for a fight. Now, like I said, I just want to be left alone. Now, if those people didn't want to do my cake, have a good day, and I'll go on to the next one. But I had to fight to get here, where I am in my life. Nothing was handed to me. I didn't wake up and be able to put a pair of ears on my head, and they put a litter box in the bathroom of the school. They didn't drop tables so I could eat out of my bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have coddled today's society so much that they think they deserve something.
Right. No, absolutely. I think that's the most outrageous thing with the younger generation is that there's so many things they have in their head that this is a right. They have a right to free food. They have a right to, universal health care. They have, and it's like, what are you talking about?
There's no free lunch.
There's no free lunch, right? And I mean, it's like, you go back to primitive times, right? Let's just say, Native American Indian tribes. If you had a generation that just sat around and said, "Well, I'm entitled to food."
Yeah, if you didn't hunt, you didn't.
Who's
eat.
going to hunt? Yeah,
You
who's
didn't
going to
hunt,
go?
you didn't eat.
Yeah, it's outrageous, and it's the idea. I was watching it was a politician actually in Seattle that was talking about how grocery stores closing was oppressive, and that they have a right to grocery stores. And it was like, how is a grocery store a right? I mean, there's communities right now, the rural communities, they don't have grocery stores.
Yeah.
They have to either, one, they're growing their own food, or they're literally driving a great distance to go get a food from a grocery store. We get very spoiled, especially those of us that live near a city and we have all these amenities. I mean, that's not every day to a lot of folks.
I grew up in an area where you didn't forget milk. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't like you could just run back up to the store. We grocery shopped.
Because it was a travel.
You know, it was a travel, but we also had a garden.
Right.
And
that's the same. I remember that as a kid. We
could
subsidized our groceries by growing
corn,
it.
You
Right.
know?
Right.
But we grew up with a garden. We grew up hunting. We grew up, and hunting is not sport. We were taught from a young age.
Yeah, that was a means of harvesting meat.
And let me tell you, like we had a hunt this past weekend where a black buck and a red stag.
Yeah,
And
I seen the pictures. It
when
was
Stacy got
epic.
when Stacy got the black buck, she went over and she knelt down and she thanked it because that fills my freezer. We use every single part of that animal that we can get.
Yeah, no doubt.
And it's not because, let's just go shoot something. The meat will feed my family and somebody else's family for a very long time. So I guess it's a different way of thinking. These people that are like, I don't know why you hunt. There's meat in the grocery store. How do you think it got there?
Well, and it's like, if you look at some of this stuff they're doing with the meat, it's incredible. I mean, I've seen, documentaries where they got chickens with 6 legs and they can't stand up straight because the breast is so huge.
Because all the antibiotics.
Yeah,
because
it's just GMO'd to hell and back.
We haven't eaten red meat out of a grocery store in I don't know how many years. It makes your stomach hurt. We grind our deer. We make our hamburger meats out of that. Best chili and spaghetti you ever had.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
people don't realize that if they've never had deer meat or anything that's wild caught or hunted. It's like the stuff in the grocery store is just it's like fast food meat. Mm-hmm. It's just junk.
Yeah.
A lot of filler. These animals are fed mostly corn, And, it's just not the same as you having a lean deer that you're able to eat steaks off of.
That you've got to put tallow in it just to get it
Yeah,
not dry. You know what I mean?
Because it starts falling apart trying to make a burger out of that. Yeah.
My kind of right there. Ugh.
Yeah,
So-
I love deer meat. I just it trips me out when you start hearing these people like vegans talking about like they're anti-meat, but from a like a humanitarian standpoint where they believe it's beneath them to eat meat, and it's like for the entire existence of human being. They've been eating meat.
No matter how you think it happened, whether it was a Big Bang or whether it was God, they ate meat. I mean,
right.
it's biblical. He killed the fattest calf.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's biblical.
Absolutely. Harvesting goats and lambs and
the prodigal son. That was like the big thing.
Absolutely, yeah. It's crazy that they get so in their head about things that are just 100% natural.
I think those are the same people that we talked about with the virtue signaling.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that I know that are vegetarian, that have their reasons, that have their everything. Absolutely. But how do you know somebody's vegan?
I mean, they're going to tell you all about it.
Yeah, don't worry. They'll tell you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like an engineer.
Yeah, no doubt. An engineer will absolutely share too.
So, but there, I know certain people. Like there was a man who did ultra marathons. It was called the Ultra Marathon Man. He would do 100-mile races, and he went down and he did marathons with Indians down in South America and stuff like that. And he was all vegan, but he had his reasonings behind it. I read his book. It was an amazing book, and he had actually. In that book, he had different recipes for his vegan things, for his runners to maintain their protein, to maintain their this and to maintain their that. But his story was amazing. And, like, I would never be vegan, but I read his book and I used some of his recipes. They were very good. But for me, that guy was fine. But the people that are, like, just conforming to what everybody else is doing is the problem.
No, absolutely.
It's like I'm vegan, but I eat fish. No, you're not.
Yeah, you're not vegan.
No, you're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
What about this whole eating bugs thing? That's the new move.
Oh no, I haven't heard about this.
You haven't heard about that?
No.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, the new thing is. They're pushing this concept where they're going to start using bugs because of the low carbon footprint or whatnot. Because cow farts are destroying the planet. I'm not the one that made this up.
They got on a private jet to fly somewhere to tell us
to talk
this.
about this.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And of course, I guarantee you, when they implement this bug eating strategy, it won't be them that's eating the bugs. You know what I mean? They're gonna be flying around on their jet eating ribeye.
Well, hasn't McDonald's been doing that for years already?
I don't like busting off into too many conspiracies. I actually, because I get people that send me messages all the time, and say, "Have you seen this? Have you seen this?" But one guy sent me this whole conspiracy on McDonald's, which, I mean, it's out there. But yeah, he swears the 1 million sold was not like 1 million burgers or whatever. He's saying that's like alternative meat sold. And I was like,
wow.
I don't know about that. But it is a trip when he brought up, because when he was telling me this, because I'll go back and forth with some of these people. I mean, if they're on my social media and follow me, I'll have a chat with them. And he was like, "Well, no, you got to look into this." He said that it only has to be 20% beef for them to call it, beef. I was like, I didn't realize that. You look up the rules, and it doesn't have to be, all 100% beef. So they can add a lot of different junk in there.
The other white meat.
Yeah, the other. Yeah, it was wild when I was looking that up and realizing, like, they literally can just start throwing all kinds of junk in there. Have you heard about the push to allow cloned human steak?
Oh yeah, and the clone.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was crazy. They had these.
And they wonder why I don't want to buy red meat from the grocery store.
Who knows what that is? Right? No, absolutely. Yeah, but that's crazy to me that's allowed. But yeah, that's the new thing they're pushing for. I was watching one of these shows. It was kind of like a Fear Factor type of deal, but I believe it was in another country. But it's these two girls, and they're like feeding them meat, and they're like, okay, this is either some random like whale or this or human being, and it literally ends up being cloned human meat that they fed these two girls, and you can see their faces like they did not choose human meat because they were like, that's too crazy, they wouldn't have fed us people, and they're like, no, that was people. That's wild.
That's the day I would have lost. That's the day I'd have went home. I'd have been like, I can't be on this show.
Oh, I would have, yeah, if somebody fed me human steak, I probably would have fought them. But, yeah. So, we want to talk about folks that are still in the political closet, right? Because it's not easy. One, being gay is not the easiest, walk in life. But to add to the, to the pain, the sucker for pain comes to mind. Being conservative, people might choose to keep that in the closet. So what do you say to folks that are, in that same situation?
That's a really good question. For me, it just depends on where you are. Politics and religion are sometimes best kept to yourself. I don't vote for anybody but me. I vote for me, my family, my
Absolutely.
friends. And I can stand behind every vote I've ever made. And if you want to have a conversation, we can talk about why you think I'm wrong. We can talk about why you think you're right. I will not fight about it. And the reason I don't fight about it is because voting has always been where you get your opportunity to have your voice heard. No matter what the conspiracy is behind a vote, it's always been where you made a difference. It's why I voted first term Obama. Right. I voted for the hope that was coming. It's why I didn't vote second term Obama.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so if you have gotten in a situation where you're afraid to be who you are, maybe you shouldn't be in that situation anymore.
Okay, that's good.
You know what I mean? It's just like, if the plan fails, change the plan, not the
goal.
Not the goal.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, if you don't feel comfortable coming out to your friends or talking to your friends about whether it be politics or religious topics, maybe those aren't the greatest friends.
Or my thing is I've got a wide variety of friends. And I like my friends for who they are as people. I have never, ever, ever asked a friend before they became a friend or after they became a friend, hey, who did you vote for? And I never based their answer on whether they could be my friend or not. I'm never going to say, who did you vote for? You know what I mean?
No doubt.
The reason I don't do that is because if we are to a point where we're having a conversation that deep, we're already friends. It's because I know how you treat the people around you.
Right.
Are you a decent human being or are you a piece of shit? And if you're a piece of shit, I don't want to be a part of it.
Right.
And if you're a decent human being, really don't care about your politics. I care about how you treat the people around you. I do not do well with injustice. I do not do well with people treating other people as lesser.
Right.
The only time you should ever look down on somebody is when you're helping them up, is to give them a hand. And
solid.
Politically speaking, if you are in trouble and you are my friend, I'm not going to base my help upon who you voted for.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. There's some things that would be considered liberal or left leaning that are hard to reconcile.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's why I think that it's gotten so profound is because of those particular topics where it's like that really kind of tells me what kind of person you are.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
But at that point, it's my decision. It's not my decision to fight with that person and try to change their mind. Believe me, when they're that far, they're not changing it.
No doubt.
My decision at that point has to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
My decision has to be, is this who I want to surround myself with? Is this the person I want when I'm not in the room to have a conversation with my child?
Oh, that's a good litmus test there.
And if I wouldn't leave them in the room alone with my child in a political conversation, why would I be there?
Mm-hmm.
We are raising the future of this world. We are raising them, so why not surround them with good people? I'm not talking politically good. I'm talking about good people, so that whenever they get out in the world and they start making friends and they start making decisions, they make them not based upon how somebody voted. Because I know some conservatives that are shitty fucking people. And I know some liberals that are really good people.
Right.
And vice versa. And way vice versa. Don't get me wrong. But be a decent human being. Care about your neighbor. There's 10 commandments for a reason, and all 10 of them don't care who you voted for.
That's true.
You know?
That's true.
Love your neighbor. Care about the people around you. It's easy. Treat others like you want to be treated.
It's easy. It is easy. I agree with that. It just, for some reason, the world struggles with it.
The world struggles with it because they want to be accepted by some people. I don't care. I was accepted by the one and only person that I cared about.
So maybe that's the big takeaway. Mm-hmm. Find that person.
And whether but sometimes, you know, there's an old poem, and I kind of lived a lot of my life on that poem, and it's called The Man in the Glass. And it says, when you get what you want in your struggle for self and the world makes you king for a day, just go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what the man has to say. For does it your father or mother or wife upon you whose judgment must pass? The fellow whose verdict counts most in your life is the one staring back from the glass.
Dang. You just busted out some wisdom.
So for me, look at yourself, bro. Look at yourself. Can you accept who you are?
Absolutely, yeah.
And can you tell other people who you are and stand in it? I've had to, you know, I've had times in my life where I took 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and I thought I had failed, and I realized this. I still took 1 step forward.
Yeah.
That's politically, that's personally, that's professionally. Look in the mirror. Can I look myself in the mirror today? Okay, I got to brush my teeth in that same mirror.
Right. That's awesome.
So
that is awesome.
Yeah, that's for I kind of off topic there. I kind of went off on a tangent there, but
I feel like a better person because of it. I'm glad you did.
But for me, that's it's just like I have a kid, and you've met him, and I remember a couple of years ago we did a fundraiser for a veteran, and we had a specific goal in mind for how much we wanted to raise. It was for a family, and we were $40 short.
Oh, wow.
We were $40 short, and our son walked up and he says, "Where are we at?" And they said, "We're $40 short." And he reached in his wallet. I think he was 14, 15 years old. He was mowing lawns, because we always did we'll buy everything you need and half of what you want.
Right, yeah.
And so he's mowing lawns, and he just pulled it out and threw it on the table. He says, "We hit it," and walked away. And the veteran, a different guy, another veteran, was sitting right there, and he was like, dude, it was like y'all are burly. You know what I mean? And this rough and tough guy got tears in his eyes, and he says, "That's your kid."
That's bad.
That's who that. And do you know what we never asked? Who they voted for. But you know what we did know? Who they fought for.
No doubt.
And for me, that I will fight for anybody if there's injustice involved.
Absolutely.
But I don't care who my veterans voted for. I care who they fought for. And they fought for me. They fought for you. They fought for the people out there spitting on them. They fought for everybody. And I want to live my life like those veterans who said, I'm glad they're doing that. That's fine. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
That's because I did my job.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be absolutely a blessing if that got spread around, huh?
Hopefully a lot of people watch this.
Well, I've had an amazing time.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking me to come on.
No, absolutely. I'm glad I did, and I think you rock, and I think people are going to love to hear the wisdom you had to share, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that wraps episode 1 of The Social Hand Grenade, where Crystal just proved you could be gay, conservative, patriotic, and still the scariest thing to the left since basic biology. Tonight, she broke more stereotypes than a pride parade breaks city ordinances. If you learned anything, it's this. You don't need a safe space when you've got a spine. And you don't need groupthink when you've got a brain. You don't need validation from Twitter when your life isn't powered by emotional Velcro. Thanks to Crystal for dropping truth bombs like coupons at a Black Friday sale. I'm Tony Savage. Stay sharp, stay sarcastic, and remember, if you're offended, that's your problem, not my programming. The Social Hand Grenade is not just a podcast, it's a movement. So don't forget to join the team. Subscribe, like, and share. And now, a word from our social media director.
If you're not a commie, like and share.